Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video and today's topic is John Wesley on Matthew 24:34. Today's video is another segment in a series that I've been doing for a while now, in which I have been sharing quotes from notable people throughout church history who seem to have at least partial past fulfillment views on certain things in the Bible, contrary to what many dispensationalists would try to tell you today, who insist that every single, or say, early church father or early theologian had the same views as they do today, putting all prophecy in the future. Well, John Wesley, who, if you don't know who he is, he actually started the Methodist Church, and then the Methodist Church then turned into also the Wesleyan Church, named after John Wesley. It was actually a Wesleyan church that I was saved at, and so I can tell you that the Wesleyan Church is definitely a dispensationalist church. It is an evangelical church. So most people probably don't realize that John Wesley had a very different view on Matthew 24:34 than what a lot of evangelicals do today. So let's just read just a little bit about John Wesley first, just to give you a little bit of background on him. John Wesley was an English cleric, theologian, and evangelist who was a principal leader of a revival movement within the Church of England known as Methodism. The societies he founded became the dominant form of the independent Methodist movement that continues to this day. So, and I had already told you that he started the Methodist Church, and again, that some of the Methodist movement then branched off into the Wesleyan Church. So, let's read, first of all, let's read Matthew 24:34. I'm sure by now, if you've been coming here a lot, you know this by heart, but I'll read it for those of you who may not. Matthew 24:34. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. So I actually just had a conversation with someone who I'm assuming is a futurist. Now, some futurists acknowledge what Jesus was saying here, but a lot of them will even put this as not referring to Jesus's own generation. And so what they will do is they will say this generation doesn't mean this generation. They'll say this generation means this race, which we'll get into in a little bit. Or they'll say he didn't mean that. He meant the generation that sees the signs. But that's not what he said. But first of all, let's just read what John Wesley has to say about this. And this is actually coming from a parallel commentary on the New Testament. And it was Spurgeon, Wesley, and Henry. All right, so he said, this generation of men now living shall not pass till all these things be done. The expression implies that great part of that generation would be passed away, but not the whole. Just so it was. For the city and temple were destroyed 39 or 40 years after. So, do you see what he did there? Instead of saying this generation, John Wesley said, this generation of men now living. Did he mean now living as in now? No, he meant now living as in that's what Jesus was saying. He was saying the generation of men who were now living back when Jesus was still on the earth, that was the generation that it was referring to. And so you might have people saying, oh, well, he's putting words in Jesus's mouth, but it's no different. Actually, it is different. It's more valid than when people will say, well, no, Jesus was saying the generation that sees the signs. Now, the reason that I can say that it's more valid for him to say this generation of men now living is because we can actually go to the Greek, and if you go and look, we'll look at the word used for generation quickly, but see, we can look here at all the times that this word, genea, which is the word used for generation, how it is translated in every single passage. And if you would go through all of these passages, and I link all of these in the description in case you would want to check these out. But if you go through all of these gospels, every single time that Jesus used the word genea, he was referring to his own contemporary generation. Not once was he referring to a generation thousands of years in the future. Not to mention that he wouldn't have said this generation. He would have said that generation, wouldn't he? Like if you're talking about something far off, you wouldn't call it this generation. You would say that generation. That's not what he said. And people will, they'll pretend that's what he said because it helps the passage to fit their beliefs better. But instead of changing the Bible to fit your beliefs, you need to change your beliefs to fit the Bible. So now getting on to the word genea. Now, as you can see, the definition for this, it means age or generation. And if we go down here a little bit further, you'll see in the NAS exhaustive concordance, it also says race, family, generation. And this is where people will come in and say, see, aha, it's not talking about his generation. It's talking about the Jewish race, which again, that is putting words into his mouth. And in fact, I already showed you how it was translated. Every single time the word genea is used in the New Testament, it is translated as generation. Not once is genea ever translated as race. And do you know why that is? Because there is another word that is translated as race. And it was used by Peter in 1 Peter 2:9, in which he said, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood. So we can do the same thing here. Go to the Greek. We'll see here it says people, but it's the word genos. So remember the other word was genea. This is the word genos. It's a different word. It's not even the same word, but a different form. If you look here, this is genea is Strong's 1074 and genos is 1085. So different words. And this is the word that is translated as race. And if we go to the definition here, it tells us what it means. Race, kind, nation, offspring. And if you look here at the translations of this word, that's how it's translated. Kind, nation, family, kindred, race, offspring. So as you can see here, there are so many people who try to say that oh, well, they used genea and genos interchangeably. No, they didn't. Genos was the typical word used for race. Genea was the word used for generation. And again, if you go by Jesus's use of the word genea, every time he used that word, he was referring to his own contemporary generation. And so unlike many of the dispensationalists today, John Wesley understood that Jesus was talking about his generation. And in fact, he was talking about the generation who would see the fall of the temple and the destruction of Jerusalem. And so many people still miss that today too. They're stuck on this idea of, oh, the generation that sees the signs, that's what it really means. Well, you know what? You could even say that. Yes, Jesus was talking about the generation that sees the signs because his disciples saw the signs. They were the ones he was talking to. And actually, I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to show you specific evidence that his disciples saw the signs. Let's read Matthew 24, verses 32 to 34. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and sprout leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things, you will know that he is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have happened. So the question is, who is this generation? Well, right before that, he said, when you see all these things, notice he said you. Now, some people might say he meant us when he said you. Okay, I'll give you that because evidence shows that that is not the case, but okay. So also, when you see all these things, you will know that he is near, right at the door. Who did he actually say that to? Who was he speaking to? Orally, like who was standing there with him? It was his disciples, correct? And he told them, When you see all these things, you will know that he is near, right at the door. Then we have James, one of his disciples, who said in chapter 5, verses 7-9, "Be patient, therefore, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient about it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing at the door." Did you see that? Jesus said here, Matthew 24:33, "When you see all these things, you will know that he is near, right at the door." And James said, "The coming of the Lord is at hand. The judge is standing at the door." James saw the signs. The disciples saw the signs. Jesus was referring to his own generation. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.